want to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity. You've showed up on my site as part of the blog tour for Scott Wilson's new book, Steering Through Chaos. And I wanted to just take a moment and tell you what my thoughts about the book. And I highly encourage any pastor or leader to read this book, especially churches that are growing, especially churches that are hitting glass ceilings. You're hitting a 500 barrier, a 1,000 barrier, a 2,000 barrier, 5,000 barrier. All of these barriers deal with the idea of leadership change and chaos. And I think that Scott Wilson is speaking a lot of timeless truths. Maybe the book doesn't have a whole lot of new things in there, although I do believe that Scott gives a fresh slant to many of those things. So he's going to open your eyes back up. He's going to remind you about things. I think the book is packed. I've read different books. I think Scott has taken from people like Andy Stanley, Bill Hybels, and all. There's Rick Warren. There's a lot of pastors you can tell that have influenced all of us. And as we read through there, you can see that influence. You can see influence of mentors you've never heard about in there, but they've changed Scott's life. And speaking of mentors, when I review the book, when I looked through it, when I read through it, let me let you know first off, Chapter 8 was worth it for me. Chapter 8 actually deals with the idea of mentors and being like a next-gen leader, being a 30-something trying to figure out my way through the church world. These are needed things. I need mentors, and Scott speaks to finding mentors and finding the right mentors, because you can do a lot of different things with your life. You can let people speak into you, but are they speaking the right things? And in that chapter, there's a pastoral profile from Troy Grambling of Flamingo Road Church, which was, these things are worth the read, just to see what some of these people went through that are admired, or you may admire and go, oh man, that's how they got there. That's the truth behind that. And he talks about in detail in Chapter 8 some of the people you need in your life. And I listed them here: an accurate mirror, a vision stretcher, a gifted strategist, a trusted confidant, a pace setter, and a wise counselor. And like I said, I have 4 mentors right now that I'm dealing. They're speaking into my life, and they're chosen to speak over a particular topic and help me, be better at preaching, be better at these things. And Scott lays this stuff out. It's good stuff, and you want to check that out. Other chapters may resonate with you. My friend Matt Nisley, who blogs at mattnisley.com, you'll see that link below this video. You can click on that. He resonated with Chapter 7, creating a storytelling culture, finding those wins, and sometimes when the vision's way out there and you're running towards it, you forget the small wins that keep people motivated towards the vision and keeps them hot and keeps the vision fresh. And Scott speaks to that throughout the book too, keeping that vision fresh, keeping it going, especially in Chapter 9 when he speaks about the Oaks culture. And the Oaks culture of how they drip that vision slowly through all of the structures and programs. So they're connecting the way I do church to how people see the vision. And I think that a lot of churches could profit from reading that. And maybe you're doing that and you can see those. He's not asking you to copycat him. But he is saying, what are you doing to keep vision hot and fresh in your church? And I think there's another great resource you'll see down below in the blog post. Will Mancini, a friend of mine who wrote the book Church Unique, has a great way of talking about vision that happens daily through his blog at willmancini.com. Or if you're a Twitter follower or Twitter user, you can look up the hashtag VisionDrip. And people from all over are constantly giving their ideas through just that small Twitter feed about keeping the vision hot. But I loved the book. For some of you, Chapter 1 may be the bonus, because as you hit those ceilings, Scott speaks about the transition he went through, and which I think is important for senior pastors to read, because they have to realize things are changing. But I think it's also good for a staff pastor like myself to read, because then I relate to the senior pastor. I'm a strategist. My senior pastor is a visionary. And so I need to know these things. I need to know what he's thinking, what he's feeling, and what's bothering him. And so Scott shares his story about the church growing and the staff roles changing, and he details out staff roles changing in a chapter. So when he's dealing with that, it's very, very difficult. So Chapter 3 actually deals with the roles of people changing as you grow. It's natural. Even the place of the pastor kind of changes, and he lets go of things and adds new things. And so very, very practical, very helpful. In Chapter 2, something that I took away from that, trying to just hit through multiple chapters. I really took away that he used the word for vision, he used the word focus. Being a strategist, I sometimes don't think like a visionary, like my senior pastor. He's a visionary. I work for him to do strategy. And so when I look at this, I look at the word focus. He says, first things first, other things second, cut out the unimportant, unify behind vision, and stick with it. So the word focus, FOCUS, and that's, you can write that down as a good thing. I think that it takes a lot of learning and focuses it, pun intended, on a word that's easy to grasp, and Scott does that very well. Overall, I think it's a great read. Overall, I think you should pick up a copy of this book. It's worth it. Like I said, chapter 1 and chapter 8 were worth it for me. But there's 10 great chapters. It's packed full of profiles of other pastors. It's packed full of study guides at the end so that you can take it further with you and your team. Check this book out. Check the links below for more information, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for checking out davidlermy.com.